Hey guys, welcome back to Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. In this part, we are starting Chapter 2, which is the Boggly Woods. I'm sorry, the Great
The
Boggly
Great
Tree.
Boggly Tree.
Oh, okay. It takes place in the Boggly Woods, which is honestly one of the most graphically striking areas in the game. Uh,
So the Great Boggly Tree, which is not to be confused with the Great Deku Tree.
yeah. I love this place. I just think it's so pretty. Especially since
It does look pretty.
yeah, it does the whole black and white thing before Limbo made it cool. uh, second off,
I'm looking at this. I was totally expecting green, and what is this? What is this
well,
beautiful mess?
we already did our green level last chapter, so we're like I don't even know what the fuck
Yeah,
this level
it's like
theme is.
this kind of reminds me of Mother 3's acid trip. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
that's actually one thing I really like about Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Paper Mario 64, every chapter was its own Mario theme. You had the island and lava level, you had the ice level, you had the desert level. This
yeah,
uh,
what?
this game has themes such as the weird trippy woods, wrestling level, murder mystery level on a train.
Well, you already covered your bases in the previous game. No sense retreading those steps.
Yeah.
What is it the most? I think to me it's the neon vines on the floor
Yeah,
that just
that's
pops.
black and white is it's a visual style definitely, but the floor having like a great color gradient going on, uh, I think that's what gives it its extra push. Actually never noticed that those are supposed to be vines. They just kind of it's one of those details that just you kind of blur over when you're playing
Was
that
like,
game.
It just looks like a pattern.
Yeah.
yeah, like
And that's all your mind identifies it as until you stop to really look at it.
it's like Mario. You're supposed to put the wallpaper on the wall, hence wallpaper.
It's
Wallpaper.
exactly what
Okay.
it is.
Wallpaper. Obviously, it belongs on the floor.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like wallpaper for Sweet Wave Party.
Yeah.
But you
But
know what? I just really, I mentioned this in an earlier part, but I really appreciate this game and the other GameCube era Mario titles for really being unique with their aesthetic and their settings.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this game didn't sell poorly. I'm pretty sure it broke like 2.5 million copies. It's just, compared to what a new Super Mario Bros. Wii will do, it's absolutely nothing. So,
As I understand it, the GameCube, while it sold well enough and it had a really good following with Smash Brothers and stuff, was not the most successful of the consoles during
no,
their generation. Like
it
the
didn't.
PlayStation 2, even despite being the weakest of the bunch compared to the Xbox and GameCube, the PlayStation 2 nailed it with the library, and that's why it was so freaking popular.
also
Yeah, there
DVDs.
was the install base for the GameCube was that helped too. The problem was that unless it was first party Nintendo games, like because I think Melee and like Sunshine did well, but everything else just didn't compare because there just wasn't enough people that had a GameCube compared to Xbox and PS2.
Yeah, and that's a shame though because the GameCube has a much more compelling library overall than say the Wii or even the Wii U.
Yeah, like over the last few years, like my GameCube collection has actually been slowly building at a faster rate compared to the
Yeah.
PS2.
Yeah, it has. It's that system that has a lot of great games you missed out on while they were actually out.
Yeah.
Batten Kaitos. That's one I really want to get my hands on. I
Oh,
got Skies of Arcadia Legends while I was at MomoCon, and well, technically Dreamcast original, but same difference because I never had a freaking Dreamcast either. Um, But yeah, like, GameCube. A lot of great games debuted on the GameCube and didn't really get super popular until later on. And,
yeah.
yeah, crying shame.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It also helps that at the time when the GameCube was out, a lot of us didn't have our own disposable income.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
no. I thinking back, the only GameCube game I bought with my own money is Mario Superstar Baseball. Which I got from birthday money.
yeah,
Everything
it's
else
like
I was at the hands of my parents and my relatives, which would give me gifts for birthday and Christmas because I didn't really get much of an
yeah.
allowance and I couldn't afford games most of the time.
Yeah,
So
it's like I'm one of the oldest ones here, and even I didn't really start buying my own games until the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era. So yeah, I missed out on a lot of GameCube shit because I couldn't afford to go buy games left and right. I think I bought a few with like Christmas money, but that was about it.
Did you get that star piece in one of the trees?
I'm not going for star pieces, and I think just in
Oh,
my
okay. I wasn't sure if you were
porting-
actively doing that or not.
That is straight up beautiful. The way the color shifts like a spectrum of green to purple along the floor, and then you got this gray tree.
You know what I'm actually reminded of? Windows Movie Maker had a graphical effect where it will change the tone of the of the colors from like in the same kind of gradient. And I saw it used for a lot of YouTube poops.
Oh man, but is that had in the past tense, as in they took it out in their updates, quote unquote?
I have not looked at
Yeah,
Movie
they're-
Maker in years.
Tell me more about these updates.
Well, just like Movie Maker, just the most bass-ackwards thing. They just took out all the good features and functionality. It's like, okay.
So let me get this straight. That steel door is not part of the tree.
Well, it wasn't.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, so now we
Something's
need to
going
find
on here.
now we need to find a secret entrance. So that's why we need to find.
Oh, is this the part where we spend 10 minutes running up the stairs and listening to our party members grouch about how boring it is?
No, not exactly. We need to find Flurry, who is basically the Boggly tree is about halfway through the Boggly Woods. The warp pipe to the Rogueport sewers is on one end, and Flurry's house is on the other. So you go from the Boggly tree, you go from the warp pipe to the Boggly tree, to Flurry's house, back to the warp pipe, and then back to the Boggly tree. So you can get what I mean about backtracking. Thankfully, the entire thing is only like 3 or 4 screens long, so it's not really that much of a pain to get through, especially if you're skipping battles. It's just, there is definitely backtracking in this game.
Yeah.
That all sounds boring. I'd rather run upstairs. They'd better keep that in the remake. Seriously.
They're going to change one line from that. Just to break into that tangent real quick. I remember one line specifically when you're climbing up the stairs is when Barrett is like incessantly bitching, and Tifa says, "Stop acting like a retard and keep climbing."
Wait, is that
yeah,
literally what they say?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tifa.
well, that's probably more of a translation thing now.
Yeah, I think. You can keep that line, but just replace retard with dumbass.
Yeah. Wait, does she say dumbass in the game, or...
No, she says retard.
Okay.
She says a retard.
Well, I meant other
But you know what?
places.
Yeah, well, Barrett and Sid both curse a lot, but it's censored out with symbols.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're cursing like Animal Crossing characters.
Oh.
Yeah, so in text form that actually makes it funnier,
Like son of a.
But they're gonna be voice acting the remake most likely, so I'm not sure how they'll handle that. But Barrett and Sid never curse in any of the later stuff that they appear in, so.
John, you do a scary, accurate Animal Crossing sound.
Maybe I am one.
Not to tangent about Final Fantasy VII's remake too much during this part, because all that tangenting is going to be seriously outdated by the time this goes up.
Yeah. There's nothing stopping you from going further right from the Boggly Woods, but there's no point in doing so until
I don't think they activate the side quest until after you go to the Boggly tree. And
I love when that happens.
More
You just miss the enemy twice with your hammer, but you just mash the button until you hit them.
Yeah, that's a great backflip, Mario, but you didn't hurt the enemy. Who cares? Woo!
I love that aspect of the game where it's like a stage, so occasionally buckets will fall on people. And it fucks with you sometimes, but it can also fuck with the enemy. See, watch. Stage props can fall over, and it does damage to that guy.
Yeah. It's like, wow.
Then you got a bucket.
Those dreaded stage buckets really hate Goombella. Most of the time, it's stage lights that fall on the enemies for me.
Well, it's a good thing she's wearing a hard hat.
Don't mean shit. It's still doing damage, damn it. You can head to the right at any point during your first trip. You can even go into Flurry's house. But Goombella will tell you, there doesn't seem to be anybody here, and you guys just leave.
Okay. I guess the canonical explanation is that Flurry is still on her walk, then.
Did you just miss?
She's dizzy. She's dizzy.
Look what I can do!
Yeah. Status
Uh,
effects are a little bit more prevalent in this game than in Paper Mario 1, where really all you'd ever encounter was like uh, poison, which didn't do an awful lot. Not to the point where it impacts your gameplay too much. Actually, one
yeah.
thing I noticed when I was replaying Paper Mario 1 recently was that using the status effect items is more helpful than you might think. Um, was that the star piece you were talking about, John? The one
No,
that...
no, no, no. It was near the beginning of the area. There's a star piece you can get from smacking a tree in the background.
Oh
Okay.
well, I feel like a lot of people simply because their key RPG experience is probably Final Fantasy. I feel like a lot of people underestimate in general status effects in RPGs because outside of Final Fantasy, and by outside of Final Fantasy I mean outside the older Final Fantasies, status effects and debuffs are pretty damn handy and in some cases crucial to success.
Status effects are your best friends in Final Fantasy 4 DS.
Yeah.
Uh,
Final Fantasy IV, the Final Fantasy IV remake was just generally improved in terms of difficulty. I really love playing that game. It's got more complexity to it than the. Well, part of the reason is that our original Final Fantasy IV release over here was nerfed, but
I still had fun playing the original SNES version. That was the version I played to get introduced to the game, and I couldn't get past the first tower area you go through. I don't remember if it's the Tower of Babel or the Tower of whatever.
Well,
It's
it's
The
called.
Tower
Tower
of Babel,
of
yeah, the Tower of Babel or Tower of Zot.
yeah, but my point is, Final Fantasy in general is a very light on the difficulty RPG, and that can throw you for a loop when you try to shift over to other franchises, which punish you a lot harder for trying to just play straight up and do nothing but
Well,
offensive abilities a lot.
well, this
you know?
game isn't hard. You can just brute force your way through it. It just makes your life an awful lot easier, and they give you a lot of them.
Yeah,
So
and to go back to Paper Mario when it comes to status effects, one status effect I found getting a lot of use of was the sleep status.
yeah, it hits more enemies than you might think.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just in Final Fantasy in particular, they don't real. It's like they give status effects such goddamn low likelihood of success that you find it more economical to just lay on the pain.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Like,
you
I
can
can hit
either
you.
waste 20 MP on a paralyzed status effect that you have to use 3 times in order to hit, or you could use 30 MP on a fire spell that will kill them in one hit. So, what will you choose?
Yeah, more or less.
Pretty much.
It's like there are specific situations where status effects are really helpful. Final Fantasy V in particular, every boss seems to have a status effect that they're really weak against, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Uh,
Boss fights
but,
in general seem to be the best place to use status spells on.
Well, you would think that, and Shin Megami Tensei logic, you'd be entirely correct. Debuffs are like what you win with, but in Final Fantasy, outside of Final Fantasy V, most bosses are totally immune. So
I actually found it very interesting in Final Fantasy VI's case how a lot of bosses were actually weak against certain status elements. Like when I was playing 6 for SGB, I used the Imp spell on Dataluma from Zozo, and it worked.
oh, really?
And
But the weird thing about that is so many bosses are immune that you just sort of assume the rest are too.
yeah, and it's a sound assumption for the most part. But sometimes you can get away with it, and that leads to very memorable moments.
Mm-hmm.